My number one real estate wholesaling challenge is investors. And in today's video, I'm going to unpack what do I mean by that. And of course, it takes investors to be the other half of the deal, right? Because if there's no deal, there's no money made. If there's no investor, there's no money made. So as a sourcing agent, wholesaler, and a property investor, you come together to actually make magic. And you both bringing what you have as a resource to the table. But I'll tell you, in real estate wholesaling, it may sound simple. Go find a deal of a seller that is really wanting to sell because they're motivated to sell because they're going through whatever they're going through in life, and match it up with an investor. Beautifully said, but it's not always that simple. Welcome to my channel. My name is Genevieve Stafford Jack. And the reason I decided to make this video is that so many times we always share the nice side of real estate wholesaling, property sourcing, property wholesaling, however you call it. However, the reality of life is that you will come across frustrations. And today I'm going to explode my one frustration into a number of different points so that you can actually hear and understand where I'm coming from. My biggest frustration that I have found over the last 4 to 5 years of wholesaling is this. You asked, so what is it that you're looking for? And they kind of give you answers like, I'm looking for a deal that's going to make me a good profit. And I smile because I'm just thinking, well, we all looking for that, right? So what is your next layer? And I find that the more I start asking questions, the more I realize that the actual requirements are as clear as mud. Yes, as clear as mud. And then I ask, but okay, now let's start from the beginning. And this is how I eventually extract information. I ask them, what are you actually interested in? And that is, what is your strategy? When I ask, what are you interested in? I want to avoid these technical terms like, what is your strategy? Because again, not every property investor has gone through the education of property investing to understand strategies. All they know is, I want to make money from property and I've got money to invest. So when I ask, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking to fix a property to get money straight away? Or are you looking for continual rent, which then translates into a passive income, right? And now when they say passive income, poof, no problem. So in terms of your passive income, are you looking to rent to a single family? Are you looking to have multiple tenants on one property? Are you looking at serviced accommodation? Why would I be asking all these questions? Because you, as a wholesaler, as a property sourcing agent, you are now needing to go and find the deal that's going to make this particular investor's dreams come true. And you are wanting to extract the information from them so that you clearly know what you're looking for. And when the investor says to you, look, I'm looking at student accommodation. Wonderful. Which institutions are you looking at? So that you also know which areas you are going to look at. Because, for example, within student accommodation, it's very niche, right? So I'm going to show you very quickly why, for example, in student accommodation, I would ask that question. So we're going to mosey on quickly over to my laptop. So here we are in Google. When I'm in Google, I want to go into Google Maps. And the reason I want to go into Google Maps is I want to find a tertiary institution. So if, for example, the investor says, look, I'm interested in UJ, the University of Johannesburg. I eventually go in here and then I say, okay, cool. If I'm interested in UJ, now that I know where UJ is, I start looking for these little red hats, all these little red hats. And this tells me, okay, this is part of it here. There's some VITs that is here. And this tells me what are the areas I can then start looking at, right? Because then I want to make this a little bit bigger. I see there's UJ here. Do you see what I'm saying? So I now already know that if I am playing and I'm looking at UJ, I immediately am starting to look in which areas. It already tells me the different areas of that piece, right? Then it shows me these little blue hats. and then I know which areas these fall under. Then I look at their School of Tourism. I know where this falls under. So when I look at those little red hats and those little blue hats, I already got a clear indication of what area I'm going into. So right now, what am I doing? I am helping the property investor to actually look at the bigger picture, to say, let's be clear about life. So if they're specifically interested in student accommodation, that's what I would do. Now, when I'm busy with research at home, I already know for those that are interested in student accommodation, one of the exit strategies from student accommodation is Airbnb. An exit strategy just means, what if student accommodation doesn't work out? What if the investor decides after 6 months student accommodation is just too much for them? What if they realize, actually, this is just not my thing? I want to go into another strategy without selling the property. So in my mind, I already know serviced accommodation. If I'm starting with student accommodation, I'm now going to go into Airbnb. In your challenge, you need to find what the solution is going to be. So if student accommodation is not it, your exit strategy to that is Airbnb, if it ticks off the boxes. Now, when I start asking these questions to the investor, I'm starting to get a bit of a more clear picture. So if that doesn't work for you, would multi-lets work for you? A multi-let is having a number of different tenants on your property. Again, you can rent out per room. And then you're going to go into Property 24 and you're going to go into the renting section, and you're then going to start seeing, is there one rooms that are rented out? Or you could potentially go onto TPN and then get the investor report for that particular area to actually start seeing, are there one rooms or single rooms that have been rented out to people? You could go as far as going onto Gumtree and putting out an advert to see what is the uptake in this particular area. There's so many different ways that you, as a property wholesaler, will be able to get down to the bottom end of the world to say, student accommodation didn't work, here's Airbnb. Airbnb didn't work, here's multi-lets. Multi-lets doesn't work, eventually here is a single family home. And if a single family home doesn't tick your boxes, why not flip that particular property? That is the extent you as a wholesaler should be able to go to actually show the investor, hey, be confident in the fact that I've got the education, I've done my market research, and everything that I put into the proposal is going to work. But it all starts off with being very clear in the beginning in your conversation. And I found that became a frustration because many property investors were new, they came in and they were not quite sure. All they would then answer is, I'm looking for a deal that's going to make profit. And I'm like, if I hear that one more time, I'm going to shoot somebody. So I trust that this particular video has of help to you, where we have gone through understanding strategies, how your strategy, for example, of student accommodation could find your area, and then eventually you can go and look for the property, how you'd be able to actually work through different exit strategies for that particular property investor, and then eventually come to the table with a very well thought out proposal with all the supporting documentation that's going to tick your boxes. So that is it from me for today's video, and I trust that this has been helpful to you.